Hi, and thank you for joining us today. We're going to read the second part of chapter 3, and we'll begin on page 106, in case you're wondering where we're at. Um, I'm just going to kind of refresh your memory where we're at. And I'm just wondering, specifically, I mean, about chapter 3 and how this last week, these days have been for you as you've already done the attunement and the alignment, inviting the guides to align you with your Christ energy, your Christ frequency, the divine in action that you are. How's that going for you? You know, for some of you, you may feel like I'm at home. Others, it may be like, what has happened here? And remember, before we departed last time, we said if the crunchies start coming up, all that is issues that need to be cleared in order to remove anything that is constricting you, that is, you know, creating some kind of avoidance that you can't connect with your divine. That's all that's happening. And if you can keep that in mind, the drama subsides. Okay. So the next part is the emotional part. And we're on page 104 where we started. And I wanted to read this one paragraph. I don't like to read a lot, but I wanted to read this where the guides say to you, now you want to know about your emotions and what will happen there. And this is pause for some real discussion. Oh, yeah. Your emotional self has been created by your past experience. You have dispositions. Some of you are depressive. Some of you are always sunny. And whatever those creations have been, they have been appointed by you. You've been involved with the creation of your personality. You have an enormous vested interest in it. So watching it begin to transform can cause some panic. Yeah. So if you're depressive by just your the way you've been raised or unprogrammed, if you will, sometimes that positive, sunny attitude too long can just like grind on your last nerves, right? Some of you understand what I'm saying. Others are like, no, no, I love, okay. It just depends. We're all individuals and we've all experienced our emotions differently. And we've also been programmed very differently. It might be when you were a little boy and you were 2 years old and they're like, little boys don't cry, man up right now. Or in my case, little girl, oh God, there's she's so emotional. There she goes again, crying again. So you learn, oh, I have to shove those emotions down. You learn that from your parents, your early caretakers, and then you learn it in school. You really learn in school what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, right? They're major words, appropriate. It's appropriate. You were programmed to shove those emotions down and to not feel them, right? And so now you're an adult, right? And now you are filled with so much anger that you're afraid and you're fearful of your anger because you think you'll be destructive over something, right? Well, um, keep in mind, and so those type of beloveds, and I was one of them at one time. We it didn't matter what we did or how much we tried, we couldn't feel the joy, right? Because it's fluid, it's very fluid. So it's like, well, that's all great. I'm telling you, yada, yada, yada. Well, what do I do about it? I don't, it is what it is. This is me. I'm programmed the way I am. How am I going to change that? Well, the first thing is to know, to be aware of it. And the second thing is, um, Now that you know what you know, here is the right way to handle emotions. And what I'm saying is, and you'll hear these terms like, it's okay to be angry. Just don't camp out in it. What do they mean by that? They mean, so now this person has made me angry. Now I'm going to go to this story of, oh, I've seen that look before, that bitch. Look at the way she's looking at me. Well, one time back in 1965, so and so looked at me like that too. Do you see how you camped out in the emotion, right? And now you've just got this movie going and it's just out of control. And it has nothing to do with the reality of what's in front of you. So I know I'm speaking to a lot of beloveds because I was there for many years, right? Well, what's the right way? I'm going to show you a movie clip. And I'm not saying to you that I'm there and that's my experience. But what I am saying to you is I am aware enough now where I do not let the rumination occur. I can stop it there. And I also know when, maybe it's not a time where I can address all of the emotions that's going on, whatever the case may be. I may need to address the situation, but I don't fester very long. The minute I have a moment to really process what's gone down, what's occurred, and if I need another beloved to talk to me about it because my programming is too much in the way, I will do that and take care of it immediately. But I'm going to show you this movie clip. And the first time I saw it, I was like, what the? Yeah, right. Yeah, that's how I would react. But it's the right reaction. Okay. And this little clip comes from a movie called Sweet Home Alabama. Now I can feel if you're a guy and you're like, oh my gosh, not this chick flick. Just hang on 1 minute because that movie, as funny as it was layered with unresolved emotions. And you got to see how the married couple, and the wife seeking the divorce and everything, all of their unresolved emotions that occurred. And here's the fiance over here. And as she is abandoning him at the altar, he has a choice. Is he going to go down with all the drama? Is he going to let that emotion of being jilted at the altar destroy him? Yeah, so let's go visit this. I'm going to share the screen.
Andrew, you don't want to marry me.
I don't.
No. No, you don't. Not really. You see, the truth is, I gave my heart away a long time ago. My whole heart. And I never really got it back. And I don't even know what else to say, but I'm sorry. I can't marry you. And you shouldn't want to marry me.
Wow. So this is what this feels like.
That's it?
Now, it's as simple as that, right? But if I were being jilted at the altar, yeah, there would have been all sorts of drama. right? And if you've seen the movie, I halted it right there. The woman that got angry and said something, that was his mama. And I didn't show that because that's not where I want to go. You know, I wanted to show you the appropriate way of feeling an emotion and staying detached by it. Do you see? He didn't buy into it. He knew that what was going on had nothing to do with him. It had everything to do with her. And then he felt the jilted feeling and he was just like, oh, wow. You know, and if you've seen the movie, you know he was raised in with privilege and yada yada yada. So he's had a charmed life. So he has not really experienced anything like that before, which really could have been devastating. But he refused to go there. Just not going there. Right? Now, in all of the programming that I experienced, I never ever received that memo, nor did any of the adults around me or the beloveds around me ever exhibit that as an option, right? So there's your answer. Now, how do you get to it? Well, that's the beauty of what we're going to experience with the guides. And also know, as I've shown you all of this, I want to make this very clear. I am responsible for my emotions. I am not a victim to my emotions unless I choose to be. And once you reconcile that and you realize that these attunements are empowering you and they're connecting with your Christ connection, your Christ itself, you've got this extra armor, this extra boost. You've got this energy, this alchemization going on that will help you process it. But it's not something, as we described in chapter 2, this isn't a passive experience. You have to be actively engaged in this. And so what I wanted to read this one sentence from 105, the emotions, that which has had a vested interest in the way things have been through the experience of feeling, how I feel in a certain position, when I do a certain thing, or when a certain this is said to me, that is very habituated behavior, right? So if somebody intentionally or unintentionally, it doesn't matter. If someone has poked me and is disrespectful to me or whatever, and I know I got to defend myself or I got to set things clear and set some boundaries here. This isn't going to happen. And I'm all in your face, right? But that's how I've been programmed. I have to realize that I have a vested interest in that personality part of myself because that's how I've learned to deal with life. And it's gotten me to where I am today. And so we have to realize that when we are trying to connect with our Christ itself, we need to ponder the old learning because it's not working for us, because it's keeping us from going to that next level, right? Because the emotions are repressed. Okay. So what's going to happen, now I am on page 106, is we're going to give you another exercise to amplify your emotional self and to align it to the Christ frequency. So lately, you know, thus far, I have a pain in my left hip. Word I am word through this pain in my left hip. And what I've done is I've invited the frequency of the Christ and the divine in action that I am to that area that's uncomfortable. We've been practicing with word I am word through these circumstances that are in front of me. Maybe they're financial. Word I am word. I am just without any thoughts, without any fears, without whatever attached to it. All I'm doing is bestowing the frequency and the energy of the Christ onto this situation. And it elevates it from the dense energy that it is to the higher energy. And that's when the miracles unfold. Not necessarily the way I think they should unfold, because it's about letting go of the control, right? Um, so we're going to do this next attunement with our emotions in mind, because I know how daunting this can seem if this goes against the grain of how you've been raised or the person that you are, right? But you don't have to do it alone, because the guides are here. And I promise you that with a lot of practice and a lot of due diligence, your circumstances, your purview can turn around. And so, yeah. And so, Heather, you want to take us into the meditation?
Yeah, and actually, what the guides are telling us, and they're telling you, is that we are in control of our emotional self. And by giving permission to the emotional self to stop fighting change, will actually give you the permission to change. And so they're actually calling this an affirmation, which I'm thinking is an attunement, but it's just realizing that we are in control of our emotional self, and that does allow the change. So let me read this. So sit back and just listen to these words. I am word through my intention to allow my emotional response and my feeling self to begin to align on the possibility of change. And I require my feeling self to work with me in alignment with the achievement of my resolution to incarnate as my Christ itself. I become aware of myself in response to physical exchanges and experiences, and I understand that my feelings up till now have been programmed by me to produce certain effects. So as I align now to the higher frequency, I give permission to these feelings to change and to self-regard in such a way that I may know that I am in choice and I have my choice of how I respond to external exchanges and experiences. In doing this, I give myself permission to align my frequency on a feeling and emotional level to the Christed form that I am undertaking to inhabit. I am word through this intention to realize my feeling self as word. Word I am word through this intention. Word I am word. So sit with that affirmation and that intention.
And so, loves, I'm on page 107, bottom paragraph. And so when you align your feeling self to higher frequencies, that self begins to inform how the feeling can change so that you're not ruled by lower frequencies. And when you feel frustrated or alarmed or depressed, because you will understand that your feelings can be transformed through your intentions as much as anything else. And they go on to say how they hope that all of this has made sense to us and that they will address this again with questions that Victoria may have. Okay. So it feels like we've only done 2 pages of chapter 3, but this is a really, really juicy portion that you really want to take to heart and practice. Yeah, you really want to actively engage in this. And so I really, for beloveds, and you can discern, just where you're at with this. If you're somebody that was really hindered by your programming and the way you were raised, I would invite you to cut this little portion or to copy the portion of the prayer or to rewrite it 100 times, the attunement, and to practice when you're being triggered, when you're feeling an emotion that is taking you down. Really play with that. And I know this is hard and I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, if you see that as an opportunity and instead of an attack or, oh my God, one more lesson, if you can see this as an opportunity to handle it differently with all the energy that the guides are bringing to the table with this attunement for you to transform it, you're going to start feeling really successful as you start going forward. And so practice makes perfect. And that's what I invite you to do, is just play all week and be aware. So, and on that note, we're going to depart. Thank you for joining us. And if you liked this particular book group or session, please like us and follow us. Yeah, we really appreciate the support. Thank you.